The Dourna evolved completely isolated in the abyssal depths of an ocean-covered moon, hidden from the vast expanse of space by a layer of ice many miles thick, only to be discovered by an outside species known as the Severan exofaction as they drilled down into the moon's core. This discovery brought a sudden and completely unexpected knowledge of the outside universe to the Dourna, but also a great deal of destruction to the delicate ecosystem that had existed in for billions of years. Adapted to such specific conditions, their unique form is often described as bizarre and alien by outside observers. Their physiology is not completely unique, but it is extremely rare and their origins remain a mystery. Despite this, the Dourna possess a fascinating and intricate culture with a rich history of philosophical beliefs and practices, and they have now travelled widely across the galaxy to explore and discover other life forms, learning all about them and reporting this information back to their home moon. The Dourna are a species with unique physical attributes, and most importantly, they are both individuals and one vast organism. To the Dourna, individuality is not central to their being. It is a temporary state and one they do not find naturally comfortable. They evolved to survive in the extreme conditions of their small isolated moon, which orbits a massive gas giant. The Dourna have nearly transparent, translucent skin that changes colour to grow pitch black depending on their mood, their metabolic energy levels, and their surroundings. This makes them difficult to detect in the dark, shadowy environment of their moon, which is also packed with an abundance of other life forms who coexist with the Dourna and serve a wealth of different symbiotic roles. A trio of the species found within the Dourna moon over the eons since they were discovered have since been taken from the moon, artificially evolved, and now exist as the trinary species known as the Extraterrestrials. Their history with the Severan exofaction had a tragic beginning, but thankfully they are now a fully developed civilization in their own right, who are also welcomed back to their home moon whenever they feel like a visit, and there is significant numbers of the Extraterrestrials found in their home star system, which is very heavily protected. The Dourna true form is incredibly large. Almost the entire surface of the moon, not currently volcanically active, is covered by the Dourna. Under the extreme pressure and dramatic temperature variance in the narrow zone just under the surface of the ocean floor, the Dourna began as successive layers, each representing both an earlier or later evolutionary stage and a symbiotic partner of the layers below and above. The lowest layer can't survive if separated from the heat and radiation coming from the core of the moon, thanks to the strong electromagnetic field coming from the gas giant. As the layers built up, the tissue of the Dourna evolved from a soup of organelles to a cluster around a nucleus to huge cells to differentiation and smaller cells and so on. The outermost layers of the Dourna form the sapient entity, and the lower cells are the ecosystem that sustains this entity, completely self-contained. All other life forms in the moon ocean are evolved from that some form of layers below and became independent of the main layer network. But rather than a resulting uniformity, the exact opposite is true. The variety of aquatic species in the moon's ocean is vast and quite fabulous, all the more precious due to the fact almost all of the species cannot survive away from the moon's ocean for very long. The Extraterrestrials and individual forms of the Dourna are almost the only exceptions, aside from some very non-sapient species that make very rare, highly illegal, and difficult to maintain exotic alien pets. While the ocean is teeming with complex life forms, there is also a vast network of subterranean tunnels. Channels of water flow through networks of tunnels almost like arterial flows, and the Dourna have created specific biomes with unique forms of life kept apart from each other and tended for millions of years. When asked about such enclaves of life, the Dourna view them like organs or living dreams, an imagination of what could be, and also as living experiments, closely guarded and protected. These ecologies are precious and highly protected. Only very select individuals are aware of or allowed to study organisms found in these hidden biomes, and only the Dourna really know how many there truly are. The Dourna prime body covering the entire moon surface is one mind, but it is far, far more complex than what a human would consider an individual consciousness. So it's best to describe the Dourna mental landscape like it is some sort of super advanced computer game, but very, very alien. It has none of the instinctual behaviors. It is in no way related to a humanoid anthropological experience. The Dourna do not understand reality by comparing everything to itself. A concept is as real as a shape. Thoughts can move like music, spreading organically according to emotional uptake. Some thoughtscapes can be barely suitable for a human mind to interface with, but generally, any mental contact directly with the Dourna Prime will destroy a human mind very quickly. Even though humans have a very robust brain, they can simply shut down if overloaded like that, recovering from a protective catatonic state a lot faster than many other species. Dourna mobile forms are much safer to interface with that way, but they won't allow mental contact if they have any choice in the matter. They experience other minds like really bad cartoons with a total lack of basic mental syntax they have and almost no flexibility. It's hard to describe from their point of view, but humans in particular would be described by the Dourna as quite primitive consciousnesses, still obsessed with the self-delusion. Humans find the lack of any form of ego within the Dourna mobile's mind to be completely horrific and totally confronting. They don't understand how any mind can be like that and simply not deal with it, shutting down rather than confronting the illusion of their own sense of individual identity. The Dourna say this is simply an evolutionary gap, and humans will most likely evolve past this soon, by galactic standards. Humans are not looked down on by the Dourna, they are cherished and protected as though they were promising children, full of motivation but dangerously ignorant and accident-prone. The Dourna will always be very aware of the fragility of their existence, and thanks to their original state, they have a deeply philosophical and introspective outlook on existence and their own state of being, deeply connected to their environment and to each other. Their society is not that of individuals, but units of focus in a universally shared internal landscape of thought. The relative recent addition of individuality and collectively shared, as each mobile Dourna experiences the galaxy aside from the main body, then returns at some point to share everything they have experienced, has a profound impact on the Dourna Prime state of being. Dourna deeply believe that all things are interconnected. They also think that nothing happens solely by fate or chance alone, and that there may be higher life forms that fundamentally interact with all lower life forms, as humans would manipulate simple bacterial cultures to make them produce organically sourced medicines or some such. They believe that the motives of the higher life forms are based on a fundamental understanding of the universe that lower life forms cannot be aware of. Thus, there is no point not trusting that the higher entities have the interests of all sapient life's well-being, as without all the lower life forms, the higher life form's consciousness could not exist either. This is a pretty good philosophy that results in the Dourna never attacking or exploiting other life forms, as they feel that all beings at a similar state of development are essentially just children being overseen by parent species, so advanced as to be incomprehensible, and to take any aggressive, destructive action is not just futile, it is also based on a profound ignorance of the true state of reality. While this philosophy is the mainstream view of the Dourna, individuals are known to form new ideas and even factions, particularly if removed from the home moon for a long time. Interacting with alien cultures with radically different points of view on life in the universe, how the Dourna navigate the mental gymnastics of perfectly absorbing and integrating such different ideas when individuals return to the collective mind is difficult for humans to really understand. But they manage to do it all the time and still remain perfectly functional and seemingly sane. Despite their peaceful nature, the Dourna are not without conflict. Disagreements and disputes are resolved through a highly structured and formalized process of mediation and arbitration, with the goal of preserving relationships and finding mutually beneficial solutions with other species. Within the Dourna itself, both internal and external, there is never any real conflict. Overall, the Dourna's communication system is incredibly sophisticated and allows them to convey a wide range of information in a highly efficient manner. It is an essential part of their culture and society, as it allows them to work together and thrive in their environment as a form of consciousness in the Dourna Prime body and as the billions of mobile forms that are generated and returned to it every day. From the perspective of the rare outsider allowed to visit the ocean environment of the Dourna Prime, the spectacular complexity of the communication and thought flows can be seen as a rippling pattern of light and dark within the translucent tissue layers of the life form, stretching out in vast and complex shapes like some sort of jellyfish fungal coral reef as far as the horizon in every direction, a wondrous marvel of the galaxy and rare in the extreme. Technologically, the Dourna are capable of designing stunningly advanced biotech equipment, living, self-sustaining starships, neural network control systems, all manner of bespoke microorganisms to provide anything required. They do not have a firm grasp on cosmology, but understand advanced theoretical physics and have a perfect understanding of chemistry, particularly organic chemistry, but can't make matter out of seemingly nothing and must use the tech of other advanced species fairly often. But They've never had any real issue trading with other lifeforms, and are exceptional diplomats. One of the most notable interactions has been with the gas giant entities that exist in the super high pressure liquid atmosphere of gas giants. These entities are immensely powerful and are capable of causing widespread destruction if their environmental containment vessels are ever breached. Despite this, the gas giant entities have taken an interest in the Dourna and have even gone so far as to protect them. The Dourna also have come in contact with the so-called crystal species, which exist as vast intelligences built around the event horizons of black holes and other long-lasting stellar bodies. The crystal intelligences find the unique perspective and mind of the Dourna to be very interesting and seek to welcome them into what they consider to be the inevitable ultimate form of intelligent life in the galaxy. Other interactions with alien species have been less positive. Some have attempted to exploit the Dourna for their resources, while others have been simply hostile. These negative interactions have led the Dourna to be cautious and somewhat mistrustful of other alien lifeforms. However, they remain open to the possibility of positive interactions and continue to seek an understanding of the wider universe. Do not underestimate how dangerous any exploitation or overt harmful intent can be when dealing with the Dourna, as while the species are lovely, empathic and complex pacifists, the species that protect them are quite capable of wiping another species from existence without a second thought to protect what they consider to be a far more worthwhile and unique species. End of file.